So do you think the main mistake that people make is thinking that talent is enough and not thinking about the branding and all that goes with that?
So I have two voices
right.
when I'm coaching. There's the audio that's there to be the teacher and push you along. But first I have to kind of break the spell, and that other voice might be a little abrasive. And sometimes that is telling them the truth and saying, hey, that's insanity to keep using the same formula. Spotify will not monetize you unless you reach 1,000 streams. And some of these guys struggle to get 1,000 streams in a year, in the span of a year.
Even though it's quality music.
Even if it's quality music. And you've legally uploaded the song, you're following all the rules. The only thing you're doing wrong, you're not branding or marketing.
Hey guys, welcome to the Troy Gramling podcast. It is great to see you once again. Thanks for taking some time to hang out with us. Like always, our goal is just to partner with you so that you can reach your potential. I believe that God's created you unique and has something incredible for you to run after. And we just want to help you get there. Create a community, give you some resources. If you hear something you like, be sure and share it. I'm sure there's somebody else that would be encouraged by it as well. And hit subscribe and all the algorithm stuff. Leave a comment or a question if you got one. And today I've got a guest, and his name is Audio Jones. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Pastor Troy. I'm very excited to be here. It's really cool to hear Audio Jones versus my government name. So it's an interesting space because I come from the music industry. So when I hear it in the this setting, it's like, oh, I could be Audio Jones everywhere. So I'm excited. I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you for sure. Tell us, where does that come? So you said government name. I like the way you said that. It's Tyrone, but you go by Audio Jones. So tell us how you got that name.
Absolutely. So born Tyrone Nelms, son of Tyrone Nelms Sr., one of the very staple figure in the church, and he's very proud of that man. But one day in the music industry, everybody has to come up with a really cool name, like MC. So I had a good friend who played for the Packers. Thing about athletes, like they all want to get into music. They got all the money. They choose this. They decide they want to get in the music industry. And we were sitting in my studio, and he says, "Hey Ty, I'm gonna change my name to Sanchez Mora." He plays O-line, and he's from Nigeria. So, okay, I'll go with it. And just randomly, I said, "Well, if you get to pick a really cool name, I'll be Audio Jones then." And it was as random as that. So I wish the story was more romantic, but
But it's stuck.
And it worked. It's actually been, every time I introduce it, everybody loves it. So it's with me now.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that. So you started out in the music industry.
Absolutely.
And so what was it that you did? And give us a little bit of that history.
Oh, right. History. Absolutely. So since I could remember, I was always into singing. I was in chorus. I was in choir. I was in choir in the church. My chorus teacher followed me all the way from middle school to high school to the youth choir, and she put the bug in me, and I decided to pursue it professionally all the way back since 2004. I was at that time I was a different name. I was. It's embarrassing, but I was Prince Ty.
Oh.
but if you do your Googles, you'll find Prince Ty, and you'll find songs with guys like Pitbull and Trick Daddy. And once upon a time, I was on the radio, and it was the classical stereotypical story Young guy gets a $10,000 check, and he signs his life away. And that became a point in my life where I had to make a transition, and I became a producer after the fact. I didn't really like the music industry in terms of the business, but I knew that I can control more as a producer, and that was my transition, and that's how I became Audio Jones.
All right. So you started out actually performing.
I was an R&B artist. I was on stage singing and doing well, I wasn't that good of a dancer, but I could sing. So,
Now, do you still sing some on the side, or?
all the time. People tell me to shut up all the time. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a songbird. It's in me. So yeah, absolutely.
Before we go on to what you do now, I was thinking when you were talking about your name a few moments ago. So you were a junior. Were you known as a junior? I just wondered if did you like being a second or a junior, or did that get on your nerves? Or
great question. It's been a lot of debate around it, because I guess officially to be a junior, you have to have your dad's full name.
Oh, okay.
My dad doesn't have a middle name, and because my middle name is Alexander, the junior didn't stick.
Ah, okay.
But people will call me Junior, and I mean, I love my dad, so
right.
I don't get too bent out of shit. I don't correct them about the technicality, like, well, technically, So it's, I'll take Junior.
That's I'm trying to get my kids to name one of their kids after me, and so far I haven't. But my middle son did name he did name his son's middle name the same as my middle name. So I'm making progress. It's
getting there.
So now you produce, you market. I mean, you do a lot. You're kind of like a full service guy right now.
Renaissance man.
There you
some
go.
Would say. Out of necessity, I spent maybe 20 years in the music industry, and as a producer, I got to work with a lot of people that were people I dreamed of working with. Guys like Lil Wayne, Nicki Minaj, like I mentioned, Pitbull, Trick Daddy, City Girls, a lot of stuff in the urban hip hop arena. But the business would tend not to work out. And the dynamic of that is because as a music producer, you can make the music, but there's only so much of the business you can control. You submit your composition and you put your hands together and you hope that their team has a good manager and their team has a good marketing team, and we get to the win. And after a while, seeing the ball get dropped, my biggest gripe would be the lack of business infrastructure within the music entertainment, which made me want to learn and skill up and be more valuable than just a music producer. So now when I work with clients, I can say, hey, I can write you a song, but I can also help you with a 3-month marketing campaign and set up your email marketing. So I become much more valuable for them.
I did an event with Pitbull. And
he's a great guy, man.
In the middle of his deal. So it was at a corporate thing. So he performed, and then I spoke. And as a pastor, they don't always, that environment, doesn't always gel together. So it was an interesting, probably my most interesting speaking engagement. You got Mr. 305.
Mr. I can imagine. But he's a cool guy. I would say of everybody that I got to work with in the music industry, and I'm doing my best Pitbull interpretation, and he says, hey, Chico, you got to make sure that you take care of your business. And I'm 19, and I'm sitting here, and I'm starstruck, so he's talking to me, but it's going that way. And I'm like, but we did a song together. Don't worry, we'll be fine. And so out of everybody, he was the most honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a really good businessman.
Yeah, because he's got the stadium now named after him. And
that guy, he's a great example of you could start from very humble beginnings. And one of the famous quotes we like in Scarface is, "The world is yours, Chico." So, yeah.
And then Lil Wayne, I see he's almost become a sports broadcaster nowadays. He's on
He
all those
is.
sports
He
shows.
is. I learned that after the fact. I didn't realize he has so much of a passion for sports. But yeah, he's. I won't say Steven Smith, but he can't. He's getting there. He's getting there. He's getting there. He's getting there. Really. Also another dream experience because I've actually got to produce and perform with him on the song. You know, and this is in my post production career where I don't want to be on stage anymore. So that was an awesome experience.
Yeah,
for sure,
that's gotta be crazy.
For sure. Yeah. But I'm more excited about the stuff that I'm doing now.
So yeah, let's talk about that. So you're dealing, I would assume, with a lot of independent artists now that since they haven't signed their life away, so you are able to have an impact.
Yeah, the music industry, because of all the advancements in technology, is in dire straits. We don't know. The economy has changed. Before you sell an album, $16. If you sign a decent deal, maybe you got $1. Now, for every stream, you get 0.0004 of a cent or something like that. So it's very tough for independents to see a pathway to making this a living. If they're making $20,000-$30,000 a year, I would be surprised from their intellectual property. So I create pathways for them to monetize through their brand. There's something there that they can offer outside just the music, because all of us are dynamic. I remember a young foolish me said one time in high school when I was arguing with my parents about, well, this is all I know. This is all I'm going to be able to do is sing a song. I mean, obviously go to school, go to college. And I limited myself and I said, I'm only going to be able to sing music and make music. And I look at myself today and I chuckle because I was like, I can build your website too. And, it's all these things that I've decided to skill up. So, yeah, I come in and I help creatives find a way to monetize their dreams.
Yeah, I found that out when I wrote the book and, you sign with a publisher and then all of a sudden it's your story, but you don't own it. And if they're not aggressively marketing it, you're somewhat limited because you don't control it. I mean, you can say buy it, but and then Amazon is in the publishing anyways. One day you go on there, it's liable to be full price. The next day, it's liable to be $4. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And when you're trying to say this is a value, but you can go to Amazon and buy it for $3, it takes away the value of what you have said.
Absolutely.
And then the next day it's 8 and then it's 12 and then, that just goes back and forth, I guess, depending on how fast they're selling or something, some kind of algorithm that Amazon has, but it makes it challenging.
Yeah. It's dynamic. Production, there's also opportunities to get publishing, and the way that works is you take an advance, much like you would with books, and they take 50% and right off the bat, and that's not a guarantee that they're going to continue to bring in more opportunity or do any marketing. It's just, here's an advance and keep working so we can recoup. So yeah, there's a need for education on how to independently go direct to fan. And that's been the key principle in my philosophy when speaking to independents is own as much as possible, but at the same time be conscious of your life.
Right.
If it's life-changing money, I had a guy come to me, Mr. Chapira, out of a big-time accountant for Aventura, and I was coming up with this business idea, and he says, "Hey, Ty, if I wanted to buy that business tomorrow, would you sell it?" And, and my pride was like, "Oh, no, I will never sell it." He's like, "Kid, you can come up with another idea." So I took that with me and I said, "Hey, it depends. It depends. So, yeah.
Now, which part of so now that you're doing, helping folks not just record, but succeed, what part of the business do you enjoy the most?
Discovery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sitting, as much as I thought the marketing and branding part was this, it's like people go to college and, you learn the theory, but it's nothing like being in the field and talking to people. What I realized what I was doing was it's a people service. And as much as I would like to say, hey, go do this, hey, kid, go do this, and tomorrow go set up your content calendar, getting them to understand the importance is more important than giving them the game plan. It's getting them to have a real understanding that this is how you're going to take back control. And if you understand, a lot of it is a lot of business education. And I find that creatives,
Right.
I'm guilty of it, they tend to lack a lot of that business acumen. So for me, it's been my purpose and passion to educate creatives to say, you don't have to operate within the status quo. You can go and empower yourself. So the discovery part, finding out what makes you tick. I'm working on an ebook, which is titled Unlock Your Brand. And we talk about a concept of zone of genius. Again, going back to the story where all I know how to do is write a song. And then come to find out I had multiple zones of genius. But which one can I wake up every day and be harmonious? When you're doing something and you get a call from, in my case, my fiance says, hey, you've been in that office and it's 9 p.m. It's time to go to sleep. You lose track of time is because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And that's been the best part of it. And get paid clients and having a business that works, that's all great.
Yeah.
I won't take away from that, but seeing the results from my consultant through my consultancy, that's the win for me.
Now, with things changing like they have, and so many voices out there now, you think about Justin Bieber and got found on YouTube and that kind of thing. How important is the quality of the product itself? Is important today as it used to be, or is the marketing and the branding more important? I mean, I know they're all important.
Yep.
But how important is the quality of the product?
That's an awesome question. Have you ever watched the Michael Jackson remake of the movie, and like Barry Gordy's sitting outside and he's playing this song and he's asking his team, would you buy this song or would you buy the sandwich if you only had $1? And I think everybody's going to buy buy the sandwich now. It's because the market the value of music in the market doesn't hold the same. Like you mentioned before about with Amazon, it's $10 to have a Spotify account, and you have access to every song you want to hear. Convincing a consumer to say, I know that you have that access, but buy this for $3 to $5. And as much as they love you, it's going to be a tough sell. Yeah. So the song can be amazing, but I already have a Spotify account, so it'll be amazing when I get in the car.
Right.
So the dynamics of it has truly changed, and it's tough. I would say that the music industry is in a flux, and it's in a place where they're trying to figure it out. Those who can put a plan together to revolutionize the current dynamics will be the winners. And they already done so, the tech companies. So I wouldn't even say it's a music industry anymore. It's just tech.
Yeah. I mean, in some ways you think it's impacted everything, and everything has become more individualistic. I mean, even say with I like athletics, NBA especially, and it's not so much about the team; it's about the brand of the individual.
Absolutely.
And even in college today with NIL and the portal, it's like, and so the idea of the whole idea you don't put the name on the back; it's the name on the front that matters is really an old-fashioned idea.
Right.
And you see it in business. People's commitment to a community is different than it used to be, and a lot of it I would think has to do with technology in the sense that there's just so many voices out there, and there's so much information out there, and like you're saying, that if I don't brand myself, then I can't.
You're invisible.
Yeah,
You're absolutely right. if you go back and you look to yesteryear, when you were running a Fortune 500 company, nobody cared who the CEO was now. When we talk about companies, we know who the CEO, that we know their political opinions. We know who they're dating. We know when they might have been shysted by Leonardo DiCaprio. You know, you cannot today. Your personal brand is more important than sometimes more important than the corporate brand, because that's the vehicle that will draw the traffic that you need for your business. So I don't think you can escape it anymore.
Yeah. Even if the corporation doesn't do well. I mean, you know, it's I know in ministry, same thing. You know, it used to be that if a church was having an impact in its community, then the leadership of that church would get maybe opportunities, whether it's to write music or song or books or speak or whatever. Where today, the brand will often be built of the minister before the impact of what they're doing, you know. And I wonder, you know, what the long-term impact of that, if that's a lonely future, you know, where we're all moving around so much, but we forget about the value of community, you know?
Absolutely.
So let me ask you a question about that. What do you do with the client that doesn't have it? You know what I mean? Like, you're running a business and you're going to add value, right, to his life, even if he's not very gifted.
Yep.
It's going to do better with you than without you. But if you know in your heart, you know, I mean, it'd take a miracle, you know, for this person to do well. Do you tell them? How do you deal with that situation?
I'm probably the only ethical marketing consultant in the world, because I will go through this qualification process and the discovery process, and I much rather write you a diagnosis to fix these prerequisites that you would need for me to help you do what you want and get to your goal. But if you don't have those foundationals or those first principles already, I much rather not take your money, because then it'll eat my time, and I value my time quite a bit. So, great question. I've sat on calls with clients who wanted me to listen in on some of their calls with their marketing consultants, and you know, in my industry, we would call that I'll just use the lingo. We'll call it player hating, but the fact of the matter is, I'm here to service the client and say, hey, man, they're taking you for a run, bro, and you're thousands of dollars in. And I'll give you an example where I had a client who was working with a well-known marketing company, but they had him running strategies where he was getting the numbers on TikTok, but they weren't converting or transferring to his streams or his store where he would sell his merch. And I had asked him, I said, are you chasing numbers or people? Because at this point, you could show me how many numbers you got. At this point where and I love the fact that you mentioned about community, because that's a principle in what we teach is there's no more fans. It's community. It's the people that love you, and they're gonna get on your live with you, and they're gonna send you a star or a stamp or a sticker. Like, they're so invested. Where eventually you're gonna have to get a moderator, and now you have the moderator that jumps on your live with you, and you build this family. Like, so the fan concept I think that's gone. Out of Justin Bieber probably was the last superstar. We have too much access.
Right.
Everybody who has social media is a superstar.
Yeah.
So again, like we mentioned, it's a flooding of content, and it's a flooding of voices. So you got to be really good at building a community. That's number 2.
Yeah. It's a little overwhelming. There's so much information and whatever out there.
Too much noise. The best way, if you build, we used to say, go build a tribe. I now say, go find the tribe that needs a leader. because there's tribes out there that don't have a leader.
Right.
And this is also in the book where we help guide creatives to understand niches and find their niches through leveraging their zone of genius. Because maybe you might be really good at something that somebody needs that help. I tell people all the time, I said, you're uniquely qualified to fix somebody's problem. And if you can figure that out, in the words of Scarface, the world is yours, Chico.
Yeah.
So and that's really the principles of what I teach, at least in my branding and how I do marketing. I mean, I do traditional digital marketing. We're going to set up an email marketing campaign, and we're going to manage your social media, but it's with intent because the results have to translate in the form of community. I'll know you're winning when you have this community base that says, I don't mind giving you $5 a month.
Right. Yeah, because it's funny. You can go on YouTube and you can find, shoe cobblers. It's got 3 million followers. You know what I mean? Or a guy that fixes cow hooves. And he's got 2 million followers.
I love it.
And who before YouTube could have, made lots of money off of not doing it, but people watching you, fix a hoof or a shoe.
Absolutely. I watched a young lady sell an ebook on how to become a minimalist, and she made great money on how to throw everything out of your house. And I said, "Oh, wow, I wish I would have thought of that one." You just got to be good at something.
Yeah,
have that genius and present it to the world.
That's good. So when's the book come out? You know yet?
I'm strategically waiting for the release because I want to warm up the audience because I'm in a transitional space where I still get commissioned to do music. I'll get the call in, hey, audio, we're in the studio. Can you send over some beats? And I'm like, yeah. Have you ever heard about personal branding? So I'm in that transitional space, and that's why I thank you for this opportunity because now I get to kind of reintroduce myself. I think they say every 10 years you evolve, you become somebody new. And I don't want to put my age out there, but I'm 38, and I don't know if I want to be hanging around in studios at 40. It's like I'm in this new space where I want to be a service to people, and not just in the not just making beats. Yeah. So
do you think the main mistake that people make is thinking that talent is enough and not thinking about the branding and all that goes with that?
So I have two voices when I'm coaching. There's the audio that's there to be the teacher and push you along. But first I have to kind of break the spell, and that other voice might be a little abrasive. And sometimes that is telling them the truth and saying, hey, I don't care how good your song is. There's 100,000 other people that dropped the song today that also have just as good of a song, and they're not getting any streams either. So that's insanity to keep using the same formula. Spotify will not monetize you unless you reach 1,000 streams. And some of these guys struggle to get 1,000 streams in a year, in a span of a year.
Even though it's quality music.
Even if it's quality music. And you've legally uploaded the song, you're following all the rules. The only thing you're doing wrong, you're not branding or marketing.
So I guess in some ways, for those of listening and watching today, that one, there might be a lot of folks taking the response as a signal to their giftedness, when in reality, it's got more to do with their branding than it does their giftedness.
Absolutely. Also, go learn. I know this is going to be a tough one for creatives. You got to go get good at business. You're going to have to learn some unfun concepts. Like every time I ask a creative, did you have a P&L? And some of them don't know how much they've already spent. They don't. How do you know when you're in profit? But these are practices and principles that I teach my students as well, because I was the stereotypical starving artists, and I rebuke that now. No more starving artists. I think you can be successful, and I tell people all the time. I was like, you don't need 1 million people. You need 1,000 super fans, or let's say 1,000 super whatever you call your community. And if you can get them, because you're building value and you're offering so much service that they'll give you $5 a month because they know you're going to show up for them and you're going to get online with them and you're going to converse with them and you're going to make them part of your world. That's your community. $5 a month, 1,000 people, you're not a multimillionaire.
Right.
But you're making more money than you would as a traditional artist.
Yeah. So do you do mainly music, or as you make this transition open into branding, anybody that has...
I work as a personal brand coach for anybody who has a brand or a company. It started with music, but I'm working with liquor companies. I'm working with other execs who are coming out of the music industry because they all kind of got the boot,
right?
So you have a flux of executives that are trying to figure it out now. I used to get my money because I used to work at the label, and now I'm independent or freelancer, and they spent their time making superstars that they now have to turn around and say, how do I make myself the brand? So now they got to learn how to make content, and they got to go to start doing podcasts.
Right.
And that really was the ticket for me. I saw during the pandemic, I saw how popular podcasting started to become. And I knew that this was going to be the new vehicle. So very early on, I decided to create a system that I can go to my client and say, hey, you're going to make an investment of 1 or 2 hours, and we're going to take that long form and chop it up into short form, because I'm pretty sure you're not going to consistently wake up and do content. Don't worry, I got you. I'll create the system for you. And so that way you have your deliverables, and there goes your marketing strategy. And eventually they start to like it. They start seeing the numbers, and they say, hey, let's do 2 episodes a month.
Right.
And let's do 3 episodes a month. So it's a growing process. But I saw an opportunity in the market, and I jumped on it.
All right. So before we tell folks how they can get a hold of you and all that, let me ask you one other question. Do you, as you've been doing this, what do you see the future? Do you see this changing? Who would have ever guessed that long form content would have become so popular?
Absolutely.
What do you see in the future? Do you see this lasting for quite a while? The whole media, multiple voices? Because in some sense, I know on YouTube, you kind of start to see some of these big companies again.
Yep.
Putting their arms around a certain group of folks, and then leveraging those dollars to make, kind of like they did with TV. This is who you need to listen to. That's just in your face so much. It's harder to hear the small voices in some sense, because there's so much money behind a few. Or do you see it changing? What do you see the future being?
I think that this is going to be with us as a new format of content that is not going anywhere. Also, I will say that YouTube's algorithm is much more friendly to the new creator than before fighting or competing against the guy, the Logan Pauls, who have 40 million subscribers. You don't have to fight against him because he's not in my niche. I teach personal branding and coaching. So YouTube's algorithm will now prioritize content based on things like your SEO, the hook, how important your thumbnail is. Are you posing a leading question that somebody's going to say, hey, I wonder what he's talking about there? You're more likely to show up on the feed, where before they prioritized people who had high subscriber count. I could say that you can actually monetize very well without having the 40 million. I mean, that's nice. I would like that too as well. But I would tell every creative or any brand that, oh man, you got more than a chance. And also consider an omni strategy. I mean, you obviously, You're doing your shorts on YouTube. You're doing your shorts on TikTok. You're doing your shorts on LinkedIn. You're doing your shorts on every platform that allows you to put up your shorts. You should be. They call it a sphere of influence, and that's what you should be building around yourself. So constantly, in marketing, we say it takes about 11, 12 touch points. So have your email marketing campaign. Have your content strategy where you're consistently in front of people, and give people value, and you don't have to play the volume game. I think that content that actually builds value does better. I know, because I also know how the CPMs work. CPMs work better when they're learning. It's business oriented. The entertainers CPMs probably won't reach that $12, $20 per mil. So stuff like this is the 12 per mil tier. So it's a good niche to be in.
So if somebody wants to contact you, do you partner with the person that's like, I don't have a clue, I'm not even sure I know what you're talking about, and or is everybody, or just they need to be at a certain level before they contact you?
Any level. If they contact me, we go through that discovery process, and some of it might become education. Because first we have to go through a process where we install. We may need to install things like a SaaS strategy. We need to figure out what software you need. We educate you about what equipment you can use and leverage. Every budget is dynamic, but I'm really here to empower people. I heard. Are you familiar with Pat Bet-David?
Yeah.
He said something that I was like, wow, I never thought about it like that. When my grandmother passed a couple years back, she wasn't a camera lady, so it was very limited in how much video was available. But I never thought about YouTube in that way, where it's a visual documentary of myself. Even if you don't do it for money. Everybody, something I plan to start is called the Captain's Log. 10 minutes every day, I'm going to get in front of the camera, log out my day, and then when I get to look back and I get to show my, when I become a pop, I was like, yeah, that's your granddad, you know.
Sound like a video journal.
Yeah, sound like I knew what I was talking about.
That's good. So really, whether it's somebody just beginning or somebody that maybe has been in it for a while, but they're not getting the results that they'd like to contact. How do they get a hold of you?
Really easy. Take the really cool name, Audio Jones, spelled as it sounds, and you can either find me through audiojones.com or at Audio Jones. And I answer to everybody. I'm here as a service to the people. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for hanging out with us today.
Pastor Troy, I really appreciate it. Before, I wanted to make sure I give you something. I came out to leadership and the book club, and the way you broke down Lead with Honor, and I said, I'm coming back, and I'm coming back. And I asked around because, I wanted to make sure I got something that was novel. But I was told that you're an avid book collector, so this may be a repeat. I don't know. But this book by Peter Drucker, The Effective Executive.
Yes, sir.
Oh man, for me.
Yes, sir.
On my journey to become a leader.
Awesome.
Was really, really helpful for me, and I can't wait to talk about it in our next leadership book club meeting.
Yes, that'd be a good one to do.
Yeah.
That's Peter Drucker. I met him one time.
Oh, wow.
Years and years and years ago when I was first getting
So you probably already got the book.
No, I don't. Well, I may have it somewhere, but I need to read it again. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
the hard thing about getting old
Yeah.
is you don't remember everything, or you misremember only the good things. Only the good things.
Yeah.
But it's good to have you. Thanks so much for what you're doing. It's exciting to be a part of. You're being a part of something that impacts people's lives in a positive way.
Absolutely.
And there's so much hurt and pain and chaos in our world. You're helping to bring order to that. And I appreciate that. And if you're watching today, hey, we're so thankful that you decided to hang out with us and just encourage you. So many times people are just beginning or frustrated about the results that you're getting. Give Audio Jones an opportunity to speak into your life. You might be surprised at what you don't know or what you discover. And it's amazing, right? Ideas, knowledge. It seems too small to make a huge difference in our lives, but in reality, it does all the time. One little idea, one nugget of knowledge, and you apply that, and it can radically change your life. So don't give up, or get discouraged. Act, take a step. And you can contact Audio Jones. And if you heard something that he said today that was encouraging, or you think, you know what, I got a buddy that needs to hear that, go ahead and forward it. Share it with somebody. I'm sure that it'll make a positive impact. If you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you did. Hit that bell and say, I want to know when new content's coming out. We also have a live stream that we do on Sunday nights, just hanging out, kind of having fun. Love you guys. And hey, we'll see you next time on the Troy Gramling podcast every Thursday. Wait, before you go, if you're enjoying our content, check out this interview or this one here. They're both really good. And don't forget, subscribe. It's really important. We'll see you next time.